What's going on, guys? My name is Kyle and welcome back to another Spud Cup race day. This is our second last round of season 3, so without wasting time, let's jump in and see how round 11 went for us this week. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here for another race within our Spud Cup Season 3. This week we're headed to Italy to race at Monza with a total track length of 5.75 kilometers. Now, like I said at the start of the video, this is the second last race of the season, so it is definitely going to make or break for a lot of people's points within our championship. Looking at our Heat 1 results, we can see how our results are going to start for the feature race. We have Pedro and Monkus locking out 1 and 2, with Mr. Daniel Gray, Neki, and Sketch finishing out top 5s. We have CJ, Patrick, Tim, Jeff, and Josh with our top 10, and underneath that having Patrice Mixter, myself in P13, and Matthew in 14th. Tom did finish in the 15th position, but he won't be competing in this week's race, so he's going to be sitting this one out. We're going to jump now to the start of the race and get ready for our leaders to be underway. They're waiting for the green flag to go, and this is, like I said, turn 1 here at Monza with 14 cars is going to be absolute mayhem. We're looking at the starting grid now. We're going to see exactly when this green flag goes down, and when it does, we are going to be underway. Counting down the seconds. We're waiting for that guy on the top left, and he does. We're ready to go. Green flag is waved. People go wide already. There's already been a little bit of carnage here. People had good starts. Some people had a bit of a terrible start. Kind of a 42 on the side there. Pulled out really, really wide. We've got Pedro now out in the lead. We've got Monkus out in front, and then Daniel right behind. Daniel makes a dive. Daniel makes a dive. Gets out into P1 through turn 1. Look at the dive he made right up on the inside there. Right up on the inside. Daniel Gray takes the lead. Gets past Pedro and Monkus. What an incredible job by him so far. Absolutely freaking insane dive from Daniel. Well done to him. Oh my God. Looking at our leader now, we have Daniel with Monkus and Pedro right behind. So far, so good. Jumping down the pack, we'll see what the cars look like along the board. We've got CJ, Patrick, Matt underneath in 4, 5, and 6. Sketch still in P4, doing a fantastic job so far. Neki now making positions, getting up into 11th, and then past myself into 9th. Tim now up into 6th. What is going on here? Just people moving everywhere. So far, so good. No carnage through the second chicane there. This is definitely going to be a very, very interesting race across the board. Like I said a bazillion times, Monza is going to be very intense. Trying to keep in that slipstream through the straights and the chicanes here are going to make it quite hard to not hit the curbs and do yourself a mischief. Looking on board now with Tim. Let's see exactly what's happening. We've got to go past. Matt gets past the slipstream. Must have a better exit out of that corner heading for the straight going through Ascari here. Tim now in P8, 8 tenths behind. Neki making positions. Me and him are having a pretty good battle now. Let's jump to himself and Neki. You can see Blake is side by side myself. He's now car number 42. Gets on the outside of Ascari, and he absolutely kills it. Gets past me on the outside. Lap 1, not at all expected. I've made my way up from P13 to 11th. So far, so good. Good start across the board. You can see Josh, car number 31 in the background there with Jeff in car number 6 doing a bloody good job. Stay behind him. We've got a car going sideways, crab walking. Is this Patrice? We have a car going absolutely angled down the straight here. Patrice must have some pretty gnarly damage. I don't know what happened with his car, but jumping on board with him, he is, I don't know, his wheels at a 45 just to try and keep the bloody thing on the track. Unfortunate start for him. Unfortunate. We've also got Mixter now coming into the pits. He is in pit lane. I wonder what has happened with Mixter. You can't see with the bloody pit wall, but Mixter is now into the pits. Jump back to Neki and myself. Good battle so far. I got back in front in the last corner. I don't know how I've done it, but Neki is right there. Car number 42. We're going to be side by side. We are going to be side by side. Jumping on board with Neki now. You can see he gets up on the inside line. He gets out in front, 3 tenths behind. You can see me right behind him, trying to keep in the slipstream, but it's very, very difficult, proving very hard. Neki is a hard person to catch up to when he is out in front. Great job from him so far. Absolutely incredible work. Let's jump up to our leaders now. You can see Daniel still out in front, holding the position, and he has Pedro right behind him. He is not going to let up. Going through the second chicane now, nice and tidy by Daniel. Little squirrely, gets a little squirrel. Shouldn't have said anything. Little squirrely by Daniel there. Gives Pedro the chance to get up on the inside. Jumping on board with Daniel, you can see Pedro getting on the inside line to the right-hander, heading now down into another tight right. This is going to be make or break. If you can keep the momentum and keep close to this car, Pedro, great line. Daniel, again, fantastic speed through that area there. Jumping on board with him, we'll see exactly how it looks like for Pedro going through this part of the track. Let's jump to see his dashboard as well, doing 205 kilometers. Beaming through. Daniel in the background, car number 15, is chasing. Does not want to let up, and you can see the slipstream gain you can make on these cars. Daniel very late on the brakes there, right behind Pedro, not holding back at all. Incredible racing so far. We are only 3.5 minutes in to this 30-minute race, and it is already providing such incredible racing across the board. You can see car number 2 there is Munkus in the back in P3 at the moment. Right behind him is Sketch in the white livery for today, number 8. Really, really close. CJ again, really close to him, but Daniel is not holding back. Daniel's really, really close to Pedro. This is going to be very, very tight racing for these two across the board. Let's jump to Sketch now in P8 in the white livery for today. CJ right behind him. Looking behind, you can see CJ's holding close. Does not want to get out of the slipstream with Patrick right behind CJ as well. Necky a little bit of a gap. Pedro has now just finished his fastest lap of the race, which is a 144.6. Everyone else completing 155s, and 154.6 for Necky. Necky's completed a 156. Absolutely insane. Looking now, turn 1. We've got eyes on Sketch and on CJ going through T1. They're very, very close, within a 10th. Can he be later on the brakes? CJ tries to turn in, backs out a little bit because Sketch is really holding that inside defensive line. Gets a good run out. Patrick now getting closer to CJ. Sorry, my mistake. This is going to be very, very tight for these drivers here. The grouping between 4 to 6 is very tight. Daniel still within a 10th, jumping back up to our leaders now. You can see how close this racing is. Daniel trying to make a move up on the inside. Can he make it happen? Getting on board with him through the second chicane here. Really, really good line from Pedro. He is a hard man to catch. Pedro is very, very quick through a lot of parts of this track, and he's going to be a hard person to maintain and keep up with, but Daniel obviously showing the pace that he has in this car. You can see the difference. Daniel is just half a tenth faster than Pedro in P1, but Munkus is 2.5 tenths faster than both drivers, and now a little bit lower. Pedro has just done his fastest sector 2 of the race with a 17.86, but somebody has just stripped him of that fastest sector 2. We'll see who that was. I reckon that's going to be Necky. I know exactly how quick he is through this part of the track, and he's going to be a hard man to get his lap times away from. Daniel going wide. Daniel goes wide. He goes wide. Daniel spins. He gets into the grass. Oh, God. Keeps it on the track. Oh, Jesus. Daniel spins, gets out onto the grass, keeps back out onto the track, but now is slowly going down these positions. We've got Sketch making position, CJ making position. Is Patrick going to get past him as well? I think he will. Patrick now getting past him in the straight. That is Daniel now down from 2nd to P6. Necky right behind him. You can see now closing the gap there. 1.3 seconds, and he's closing. That time lost in Ascari is really going to be hard to keep it back up. Unfortunate move for Daniel. I can't believe we saw that on the camera replay. Daniel, I'm so sorry. That is totally my fault. Pedro, 154.3. Fastest lap of today's race with a Munkus at a 154.8. Pedro really setting the pace for today's event. Absolutely insane driving across the board. Let's jump up to CJ because he is still very, very close to Sketch. Let's jump on board with CJ going through this part of the track. Let's see how this attacks. Is this going to be smooth? This is going to be smooth, really holding the inside line there. Sketch doing a great job being defensive through this first part of the chicane. CJ getting a little bit squirrely, not as good of a release as Sketch did, but Daniel Gray and Necky are now changing positions. Let's jump to them and see what that's going on here. You can see side by side, Daniel in car number 15 getting past Necky with a 1.1 second difference. Now 4 tenths behind CJ. CJ is going to be in a little bit of trouble here if Daniel can stay nice and close to him. Daniel's pace is obviously definitely up there with a lot of the faster guys on the grid, so CJ is really going to have to defend as hard as he possibly can to keep Daniel out of his reach. 3 tenths now. Daniel really getting closer, jumping on board now. You can see holding it on the inside line through this right-hander, really fast sweeping right. You can see really close to CJ. CJ's going to be a little bit of a stick of trouble here. This is a nice tight right-hander. You really want to use the curve. He gets on the inside. Daniel, great overtake. Getting past CJ. He gets past him with ease. Blows past him through this part of the track. Incredible job. But this gives CJ the chance to get in the slipstream through the big straight and heading into the third chicane, going through Ascari. Let's see now. Daniel really, really close. Sketch is now 9 tenths in front of Daniel. He is really going to be clawing back those positions from 2nd to 6th and now back up to 4th. All over the grid, but doing a great job really putting the pace into this car. While Necky is now 1 tenth behind. Let's jump to Necky. You can see he's 1 tenth behind CJ. Is he going to make his move now? You can see he's side by side with him, going down the main straight now, heading into the last corner of the track. This is going to be make or break. You really want to hold into the slipstream, and they are really going to be side by side heading in. Necky on the outside. He makes it happen. Great job by him. Gets past CJ. CJ now 3 tenths behind Necky. Daniel 4 tenths behind Sketch in P3, and Jeff is 2 tenths behind Matthew in P9 and 10. Let's jump down to the grid. We'll see Jeff and Matt having a bit of a battle here. Jeff in the green car number 6, Matthew in the livery in front. This is going to be tight between the two. 3 tenths going really, really well. The difference between Daniel and Sketch is now 2 tenths, really closing up. This is going to be close. The lead up through this part of the track. Nice long straight heading into turn 1. The braking distance in turn 1 is really going to determine how good you are going to go. Jeff now 1.5 tenths, really closing in. The slipstream is really allowing him to get closer. He's backing off a little bit. I think he's trying to be a little bit smarter about when he brakes. Really close to the back of Matt. Matt holds a really good line through the defensive part of the track. Great job by him so far. Jeff still really, really close behind him. gets a little bit of a better run than Matthew, looking at how close he's catching him. He might catch him before this right-hander. He does. Matthew backs out. I don't know whether Matt had a little bit of a slowdown penalty for cutting that part of the track. We'll see. I don't think he was that close to the first part of the chicane, but maybe he was. Let's jump back up now to Daniel in P4. Here's 1.8 tenths behind, just behind Sketch, really breathing down his neck. You can see, is he going to make a move in the same spot? He's not. Sketch really close off that inside line, but Daniel now 1.5 tenths behind him. Necky is 3 tenths behind Daniel. This is the view from behind Daniel's car. Really, really tight. This is going to be close by these drivers here. Necky beaming past him. 3 tenths to him. Daniel is less than a tenth behind Sketch. He gets on the brakes a little bit earlier to try and settle the car. Really puts his car in a good position, and this is the run out. This is the run he's going to need. Gets right behind Sketch, uses the slipstream that this car provides, and now he makes his move. Really, really close, not backing out until last minute. He is saving fuel. Daniel is doing a little bit of fuel saving, you can see. He could easily overtake Sketch, but he's not going to. He's going to use the slipstream of the car in front of him to try and allow him to save some fuel. Now, this race is a 30-minute race. You don't have to pit if you can make it to the end, but you will have to do some fuel saving. A lot of the guys were unsure whether you could make it to the end or not, but Daniel here proving you can by trying to save some fuel. Hopefully it works for him. You can see he's definitely saving some fuel. He could easily overtake Sketch with this slipstream that he has in this car, but he's not. He is really nice and close, trying to use as much of that slipstream as he can to his advantage. Necky now 5 tenths behind Daniel. I think he's doing something very, very similar through this part of the track. Really, really tight through the first chicane, and again, really holding back to Sketch to try and save as much fuel as he possibly could. Let's jump down now the grid. We can see Necky right behind Daniel, still doing exactly the same thing, I think, trying to use the slipstream to his advantage and save some fuel. I don't know if a lot of people are in the fuel save position already, but it is going to be crucial to get to the end of the race before you run out of fuel. You can see myself now in P7. Let's jump a little bit further down the grid. I've got a little bit of gap. Oh, Daniel made Sketch. Daniel overtook Sketch. The minute I changed the camera, he takes him. He gets past Sketch. Sketch must have a little bit of an incident to the second chicane. The minute I bloody changed the camera angle, and Necky gets past Sketch as well. Necky gets out past Sketch. Pedro's still out in the lead. This is going to be tight driving across the line. Very, very close. Sketch now 3 tenths behind Necky. Let's jump to him. Really, really close. Sketch 5.5 tenths behind Sketch. CJ behind Sketch. This is going to be tight. Necky, I wonder if Necky is going to take the position, or is he going to take... Let's jump to the on board with Necky, sorry. Is he going to take Daniel, or is he going to use the slipstream to save his fuel through the straight on the back straight? Let's see. Going through Ascari now, getting on the brakes a little bit, holding. Oh, really mounting the curb. Really mounting the curb there by Necky. Hopefully he's got no damage to the front of his car. We'll see exactly what it looks like for him. But beaming down the straight now, that is make or break. That part of the track, if you hit those sausage curb, it can really, really cause some damage to the front of your car. So far, so good. Looks pretty good for him. You can see myself out in the background with Patrick right behind me. Let's jump down now. You can see Patrick, right in front of me, behind me. I'm out in front by just a little bit, 9 tenths. He is catching me very, very quickly. Patrick's pace in this car is definitely there. Going to be a hard one to get away from him. You can see Patrick's faster in Sector 1 and Sector 2 than myself, but I'm making it back in 3 and 4 so far. Hopefully I can hold that pace, but we'll see what's going to happen. Matthew doing a great Sector 2. Going to catch Patrick very, very quickly if he keeps that up and keeps his pace continuing. I've done a little bit faster. Patrick's done a little bit faster than myself, 1.5 tenths in Sector 5, so he's definitely putting in a faster lap than me. You can see Patrick's last lap was 155.3, mine was a 155.6. He's 3 tenths quicker per lap, really getting close behind me here. This is going to be hard to keep away from Patrick. You've got Daniel now 3 tenths behind Necky. Necky's made the position. Let's jump back up to these two. Now you can see Necky in car number 42, Daniel in car number 15. Let's go to the gearbox. You can see, the front. You can see this is Daniel 3 tenths behind. Necky really throwing it over the second chicane curb there, launching the F4 car. Daniel really holding it into fourth, holding it around the right-hand corner here, back on the throttle to try and feed it out to the outside, really putting in the paces here for this lap. You can see Daniel's last lap being a 154.9, Necky's being a 154.8, so the pace is very, very comparable across the line. These guys are definitely closer in pace. It's going to be great driving by the end of today's race. We are 12.5 minutes in, 13 minutes into this race. We have 17 minutes left, almost hitting our halfway point. Daniel really holding it close out behind Necky. 2 tenths heading into the last chicane of the track. God, they're really, really close. Super quick, super, super quick, and really tucks it in. This is going to be very interesting. Is Daniel going to overtake, or is he going to stick up behind him and utilize that slipstream? Patrick now as well, 4.5 tenths behind me. Let's jump down the grid. You can see Patrick coming through Ascari now, jumping on board with him. Let's see. Really, really close, 4.5 tenths. Daniel, 2.5 tenths behind Necky. He's not going to overtake. He's going to utilize that slipstream and try and keep it up. Let's go to the dashboard now, see how quick these cars are going on the back straight. 225 Ks, going faster. Can he get 230? He can. 230 kilometers an hour before getting to the braking zone. Holding into the last final right. Now this right-hander is going to force you out to the left-hand side. You can see there, really trying to get the foot down and utilize as much of that speed as you can without getting on the brakes anywhere to lose that momentum. Daniel now 1/10 behind Necky. Again, I think they're utilizing that slipstream to save as much fuel as they possibly can. Let's have a look now through turn one. Turn one is make or break, because if you get on the brakes too early, you're going to sacrifice that opportunity to defend with the car behind. Let's see what happens through here. Patrick, great line through that part of the chicane. I'm still out in front. I got a little bit of a better run than him, I think. Get a better run than Patrick. He's now 9/10 behind. I've made up some distance in that part of the track. Let's jump now to Daniel and Necky again, having a great battle across the line. We've got Munkus out in front. You can see there's a back marker in between Munkus and Necky, but Daniel's still tucking in behind. This is going to be interesting. I wonder how much fuel the guys have had to save to minimize any sort of risk. You can see Daniel going a little bit wide there. Car number 15 with delivery there. Really, really close to Necky, but I don't think he's pushing as hard as he possibly could. Let's have a look at our sectors and see what the difference is. Daniel doing 2/1000ths of a second faster than Necky, but everything is very comparable. Necky has done 3/10 faster than Daniel in Sector 2, trying to get past his back markers. Just moves to the right, gets right past Necky. Daniel really throwing it over that part of the chicane. You thought he'd learn after lap 1 spinning, but he didn't. My God. That was so insane, throwing these cars over. Maybe I'm not driving the car as hard as I need to be. Let's jump now down to myself and to Patrick. You can see I am right behind CJ. 2/10 behind CJ, getting closer, using the slipstream. You can see the differences in these sectors 1, 2, and 3 between the three of us here, between 5th and 7th, CJ, me, and Patrick. You can see I'm now 2/10 behind CJ, and I hopefully am smart enough to start trying to save some fuel here by using the slipstream. I duck up on the inside, but I don't make it happen. I just make CJ know that I'm there. Try and stick in behind him. Patrick, let's look behind. Right behind me, car number 30 in the blue car. Right behind me using the slipstream. And again, it's all going to come down to saving some fuel and trying your best to make it to the end of the race. I don't think I did the best job of saving fuel, but we'll see how that wraps up by the end of the day. Let's see now, going through turn 1. There's 3 cars very, very close. Patrick behind, me sandwiched in the middle. Patrick moves onto the inside. This is going to be 3 wide. This is going to be 3 wide. Me, CJ, and Patrick. Oh my God, what's going to happen here? Patrick backs out. I get out in front. CJ moves behind. I get past Siege. I spin a little bit. I lose a little bit of traction. Not ideal. CJ now moves away. He gets out in front. I got Patrick right behind me. This is going to be intense. This is going to be intense. CJ not quite getting past me. Not quite getting past me. But Patrick now slipping up on the inside. CJ backing out just a little bit. Oh, this is going to be tight. This is going to be very tight. There's less than 2/10 between all 3 cars. CJ getting up on the inside. Heading through the second chicane. He does. He makes it stick. I tuck in right behind him. We got Patrick right behind me. CJ really making a good move there through the second chicane. Great overtake. Patrick now getting a better run than me. He's going to get this position back as well. Patrick's going to get past me. I'm going on the outside of this part of the track. Go a little bit wide, but not in the grass. So far, so good. Patrick and I side by side heading through this part of the track. And we've got another little sharp right here. Not using too much of an issue there through. We've got CJ right out in front, 4/10. Patrick is 6/10 behind. Daniel still 2/10 behind Necky. Again, I reckon he's trying to use that fuel save slipstream. But let's see what happens here. Sketch now coming out of the pits. I think he's either stopped for fuel or he might have had some damage. I'm not entirely sure. Getting on the brakes now a little bit, trying to hold behind CJ. Keep the car level. Going through this part of the track, this is it, the last straight. You've got a really long back straight here before you hit the last corner into the main straight of the track. I'm tucking in behind CJ. Hopefully, we'll see on my steering wheel there. I'm up in 6th. Am I going to make the move? I do. I try and make the move through CJ, get past him. Can I make it happen through the last corner of the track? I should have stayed behind him and utilized that fuel save, but I didn't. God, I'm so stupid. Really make the move there. Go wide on the outside corner of turn. Oh, God, the last turn. Patrick almost going wide there. Patrick almost going wide and pushing himself out. CJ now in between the 2. This is going to be tight between the 3 of us here. Who is going to come out on top? CJ car number 5, Patrick car number 30. This is going to be tight between the 3 of us here. Patrick is now 2/10 behind CJ. CJ within a 1.5 tenths behind. Patrick moves on the inside. Patrick makes a move up on the inside. What's going to happen here? CJ backs out a little bit. He doesn't. CJ holds it in. They're going to be too wide through the first corner of the chicane. They are. Too wide. Can they make it happen? They do. Let's jump back down to them. What are we looking at me for? They're side by side, trading positions back and forth. I'm now 9/10 in front of Patrick, trying to keep my distance. Daniel's still 2.5 tenths behind Necky. This is going to be tight. Patrick makes the move stick, going through the right-hander here, but it is not all over. It is not all said and done. CJ is very, very good at coming back from his positions, and he is not going to let Patrick walk away with that overtake. Coming through the second part of chicane now, you can see the second chicane. Patrick, great line. CJ, good line as well. I'm now 8/10 out in front. This is going to be very tight. Trying to hold it on the road and keep it clean. If you can keep this part of the race clean, then you may do okay. Let's see exactly what it looks like in closer view for Patrick. You can see Daniel jumping up to them. Let's have a look at them now. 1/10 behind, and again, it's just playing. They're playing at this point. Tussling for position back and forth, but he's letting Necky stay out in front. 2.5 tenths, and let's see if he shifts up into 6 and tucks in behind Necky to utilize that slipstream. I think he will. I don't reckon he's going to try and get close enough to make a move, but we'll see. We're now 19 minutes, into this race. We've only got 11 minutes left. Daniel gets on the brakes a little bit earlier, gets on the inside line a little bit better than Necky does, pushes himself very wide in that last corner. The understeer that you get through that last corner of the track is ruthless. You can see CJ now 1.5 seconds behind Patrick. He's slopped down a little bit. Patrick 5/10 behind me. Daniel now doing a best lap of 153.3, with Munkus doing his best of a 153.9. Necky's last lap was also a 153.3. Daniel tucking in right behind him. Very, very tight race between the two of them. You can see here, Necky going through the first part of the chicane. Daniel tucking in right behind. The car's gone a little bit wide. Daniel loses it a little bit. Loses traction just a little bit. The tire wear is not that bad at this track, but it is very, very difficult through the slower parts of this course to get back on the throttle without losing any traction. This is a great battle between the two of them here. Let's jump down to Patrick. 2.5 tenths behind. He is right here. I've got Jeff out in front. Jeff is a back marking car. Hopefully can get past him. He's a lap down. I go a little bit wide. I brake a little bit late. CJ also cuts the first chicane. I brake a little bit wide. Patrick tucks in behind me. Can I get away with this? If I can get past Jeff and utilize him to help me block off Patrick, I will. Let's see what's going to happen here. Patrick is on the outside behind Jeff. Going to be very, very tight. Very, very tight here. You can see Patrick is on the inside to the second chicane. Is he going to commit? He backs out a little bit, gives me the line. I get the optimal line. Jeff spins. I tuck in just a little bit, but I don't get enough time. I have to slow down a little bit more than I needed to. Patrick now getting past me through the second chicane. Just dodging Jeff there. I don't think I've got any damage. I don't. I just passed Jeff. That is a very, very tricky situation. Patrick now out in front. CJ right behind with a 1.8 second difference to myself. I'm 3/10 behind Patrick. Patrick 22 seconds behind Daniel. And Daniel and Necky are now getting a little bit of distance. I don't know if now the racing has opened up and it's time to put the foot down. Hopefully they've saved enough fuel and it's all racing from here on out. Let's see what happens between those three drivers at the top of the grid. Daniel now is second behind. You can see Patrick really holding a good line through Ascari. I'm right behind him. Let's jump on board with myself. Jump on board with Patrick. Looking at me coming from behind. 52 car number for me in the white Mitsubishi logo around the front there. Really, really close. 3.5 tenths. Necky now doing his fastest lap of the race with a 153 flat. That is the fastest lap completed by any driver so far today. Necky 4 tenths behind Munkus in P2. Can Necky make his way up? Can he make his way up to get a P2 position from today's race? You can see now coming through the last part of the track, I am right behind Patrick trying to hold my position 5 tenths behind. This is the slipstream. This is where it's going to be made up through this part of the track. Let's see exactly how this goes through. Necky 3.5 tenths behind Munkus. Daniel 1.5 seconds behind. I don't know if Daniel's now had a bit of damage or if he is going into extra fuel save to make sure he has enough before the end of today's race. We have 8 minutes left. Only 8 minutes left of today's session. I'm tucking in behind Patrick through the first chicane. Gets a little bit squirrely. I lose a little bit of traction there trying to slow the car down enough. That is very, very interesting. 1 second now difference. I'm slipping away from Patrick. Patrick getting this position. Necky has now made the position on Munkus. Let's jump up. Necky is all out racing. He is all out racing. That's it. All bets are off. All bets are off. He's foot down, ready to go. Necky out into P2. Munkus 3 tenths behind Necky. Daniel 1.2 seconds behind. And me and Patrick are within the 1 second difference. I'm trying to get him back and get that position back from him. Great driving across the board so far. Munkus now 2 tenths behind. Let's have a look to him. You can see right behind Munkus, car number 2, going through the last chicane of the track. Really abusing that left-hand curb there. Really abusing the front curb, and that really sets you off on a bad pace. You can see Munkus now trying to claw it back with the slipstream, but he's definitely not as close as he could be if he didn't hit that front curb. It is ruthless. You want to try and stay away from it, but you really need to get as close to it as you possibly can because it is really going to help you get that speed through that part of the track. Munkus now 5 tenths behind Necky. Necky 1.4 seconds to Pedro. Let's jump up to our leader here. He is out in front, large and in charge. 1.3 second gap. You can see the drivers behind him now. He could be in a bit of trouble. He could be in a bit of trouble here. His last lap was a 155.5. Necky's was a 153.1. You can definitely tell that Pedro is now trying to save some fuel. He hasn't had the opportunity to get behind other cars and use the slipstream to his advantage, so it is really going to be all-out racing for him to try and save fuel and get back into the race without having to slow down too much. Monkus now 6/10 behind Necky. Daniel 6/10 behind Monkus. This is going to be very, very tight for these drivers in P3, 2 and 4. Very, very interesting with the guys here. We're looking at Necky now in the black and red car number 2, or P2, sorry. We've got Monkus behind 5/10, Daniel 6/10 behind him. I'm now getting closer to Patrick with less than a second to go. Very, very tight. 23 and a half minutes into today's race. We've only got 6 minutes left. 6 minutes left. You can see Necky goes a little bit wide on that part of the track, gets in the dirt a little bit, but that's not too big of a deal. Monkus still 7/10 behind. Daniel closing in. Pedro getting a little bit of an off track there. Daniel going wide as well. They are really putting the power down. I'm interested now to see what the lap times and sectors are going to be. Let's jump to our sectors and have a bit of a look. You can see Necky is just slower in Sector 1 than Pedro, but Monkus is faster than both. Necky faster than Pedro in Sector 1, but Monkus is slower in Sector 2, sorry. This is, you can see the comparable differences. Necky absolutely flying through the last part of the track. Daniel really, really close. Less than 3/10. Let's have a look now at Daniel and see exactly what's going to look like here. Is he going to make a move? Is he going to make a move stick? Let's see what happens. Daniel 4/10 behind Monkus. I don't think he's going to be in fuel save, but he's not gaining. He's not gaining anywhere near as much as I thought he would be. He is really coasting. Daniel is coasting now, saving as much fuel as possible. Maybe this is going to be tighter than we originally thought. I'm interested to see how this wraps up. You've got myself now 3/10 behind Patrick. Let's jump now to our battle and see what's going on here. Right behind him, jumping on board with myself through the last part of the track. Patrick, this is going to be make or break, trying to catch him on the last part of this back straight. 3.5/10 closing down now, less than 3/10, 2.5. Look at the slipstream difference, the difference that you can gain from just being behind this car, and I back out. I am still saving fuel at this point, still trying to save some fuel. I could have made a move, but I didn't. I could have really thrown it into that inside corner, but I didn't. Staying behind Patrick, really shifting up early myself. I can see I'm shifting up already in P6. Patrick doing the same thing. We are both saving fuel. Only doing 180 Ks now, not foot flat. I make a move up on the inside. I didn't expect to see that right now. Side by side through this part of the track. Let's see what happens. I get past Patrick. Is Patrick going to back off? He is. Patrick is going to back off, and he is going to use my car to help him save fuel in the slipstream. Incredible driving. Great move by him. Smart decision in this length of the track. We now have 26 minutes into our race. 4 minutes left. You are really going to be cutting it close. If you haven't saved enough fuel, it's going to start to show. I'm 29 seconds behind Daniel. Daniel 2/10 behind Monkus. Monkus really close to Necky as well. Pedro now in a bit of striking distance from Necky. Let's jump up to our lead. As you can see, Necky is within 7/10 of Pedro. Did not expect to see that so quickly, but he is there. Patrick 2/10 behind myself again. He's saving fuel. Daniel 1.5/10 behind Monkus. Is he going to make a move here, or is he still saving fuel? He doesn't. Daniel makes a move up on the inside. Gets past Monkus through this part of the track. Really aggressive overtake through Ascari here. Great job by Daniel. Car number 15. Monkus in car number 2. Really good job, but this gives Monkus the opportunity to get back past him, and he does. The slipstream that he gets from this back straight, they are going to be side by side. This is going to be very, very tight. Can't see a bloody thing with all the greenery, but this is going to be a very interesting attack. Daniel on the inside, Monkus on the out. This is going to be tight. Great job by Daniel getting the inside line. Monkus right behind, 1.5/10. This is going to really set him up for a good overtake. Tucks on the outside through start, finish straight. This is going to be tight. Necky now completing the fast lap of the race with a 1:53 flat interval. We've got Pedro right out in front, less than a 10.5. Side by side through this part of the track. Daniel and Monkus, both drivers not going to pull out of this corner, I don't think. I think both of them are really going to commit. Daniel gets on the brakes a little bit more than I thought, but he still holds on. Daniel gets on the inside of the first chicane, turn 1, well done to him. Monkus right behind, 4/10. Daniel out in front. Pedro losing position, jumping up to our leader. Pedro losing position to Necky. Necky is now out in front. Necky is now our race leader. I cannot say that I'm surprised, but I'm surprised. We're now 2.5 minutes left of this race. It's make or break. This is all out racing now. Nobody's going to save fuel, I think. Everybody is out and ready to get positions. Monkus 2/10 behind Daniel. Daniel 6/10 behind Pedro, and Pedro gets a little bit squirrely. He's still saving fuel. I think Pedro is now still saving fuel. It's become evident. He's slowing down a hell of a lot. Let's jump now down to the cars at the back there. Pedro on the inside, Monkus right behind. Very, very close racing. You can see Monkus right behind him here through this second right-hander. Gets a little bit of a better run, but Monkus using that slipstream. Out in front of him, you can see you've got Daniel 4/10 ahead. This is going to be very, very interesting. I wonder how the guys are going to place their cars to try and utilize the slipstream, because if you are out in front going through Ascari, you may not necessarily be better off, because the slipstream you're going to gain from that back straight is really going to help you get ahead through the final corner. Pedro really putting the foot down, gets a little bit wide there. Monkus 4/10 behind him. This is going to be very intense. Very, very intense across the board. Daniel now 2.5 behind in front of Pedro. Monkus 3.5 behind. Pedro getting close. He backs out a little bit. Pedro backs out a little bit, trying to set himself up better for the corner potentially, or he is still trying to save fuel for the final lap. Interested to see how this goes. Very, very interested. You can see Neki out in front with a 2-second gain, 2-second difference. Patrick 3/10 behind me. Very, very close. The final lap's 153, 153, 156. Pedro is 3 seconds slower. He is definitely trying to save fuel. Pedro now making a move on the inside. Is this it? Is Pedro now finished saving fuel? Is it now back into attack? Pedro in the yellow car on the inside, car number 9. Daniel on the out, 15. You got Monkus right behind him. Pedro get pushed a little bit wide. Very, very clean driving across the board. Daniel now out in P2 still, holding onto the position. Pedro in the yellow car, car number 9. This is going to be very close driving across the line. That's almost touch. They almost touch. Very, very close. Very, very close to turn the 3 of them. Monkus tucking in behind Daniel, going a little bit wide on the outside. Are they going to go 3 wide? They can't see a bloody thing. Are they going to go 3 wide? They are. We can't see a bloody thing still. There's damage. Monkus touch. They touch. Damage already. Monkus gets taken out. Daniel and Monkus connect. Pedro gets clean, gets away from it. Monkus now coming back on the track. He spins. No, Monkus. He spins. Tries to get the car back onto the bloody track. He's losing time. He's losing positions. Now the guys are getting out in front. Oh, God, what an accident. What a way to finish up. We've got less than 15 seconds left of today's race, and he spins, gets taken out, tries his best to get 3 wide to the second chicane, which is never going to work out well. Let's jump now down to Patrick and myself. We are very, very close, again, through the second chicane for the 2 of us. Let's jump to myself. You can see right on front on board with Patrick. Really, really close now, 1.5 I think we have white flag. This is final lap. This is final lap for today's race. Let's see how this unfolds. 3.5 Patrick really trying to utilize that slipstream and stay closer. I have no fuel left. I'm really getting close to fumes in this petrol tank. Let's see what happens through this part of the track. 2.5 behind. Patrick really holding on. This is make or break for us two. Make or break. You can see, yeah, checkered flag has been waved. Is Neki going to cross the line? Neki's about to cross the line. Can he finish? Neki takes the win. Neki out in front. Let's go. Pedro now coming up behind. Pedro's going to hold on. Pedro makes P2. Daniel makes P3. Monkus is coming down the last corner of the track. Patrick and myself coming through this part of the straight. This is going to make it happen. Well done to Monkus in a P4. Let's jump to myself and Patrick, because it's make or break here for the 2 of us. Final corner of today's race. Let's see how it goes. You can see Patrick gets out in front. I'm still on the inside. Patrick goes wide. Patrick goes very wide. Out into the dirt. Last corner of the race, out into the dirt. I hold on, get out in front. That's a P5 position from 13th to 5th. I am very, very pleased with that. Patrick now in P6, crosses the line. Matthew crosses the line in P7. CJ still coming across the finish line here. You can see him crossing now in P8. Patrice, Mixter, Josh and Sketch still out on the track. You can see Patrice is limping again. You can see the tires look a little bit wonky. Maybe he's trying to save fuel and get across the line. It may be just the camber that he's got on that set. We'll see. I think that is. It just looks a little bit wonkier than it should. Patrice now trying to save fuel. Is he sputtering? I don't think so. He is. Patrice is sputtering across the line. Just gets over, finishes P9. Great job by him. Mixter, everybody else still out on the track. I think they are all creeping. They are all going to be creeping across the line. The fuel is very, very tight to the finish of today's race. Mixter coming to the final corner. Is he going to cross the line? It's not going to be what position they're going to finish in. And now it comes down to who's going to have enough fuel and who's going to have to get out and push the car across the start-finish line. Mixter sputtering with fuel, has nothing left in the tank. We've got Sketch is coming to the final corner. This is going to be tight with everybody. Let's jump down to Sketch now. Sketch still putting his foot down, 180, not really putting his foot down. Jeff now crossed the line, P13. Sketch crossing the line. Josh could have made up that position if he had a little bit more time. Great driving across the board. Well done to everybody. Incredible driving. Well done to Neki, our race leader. Incredible drive. I cannot believe how well he did. Well, I mean, I can because it's Neki, but great job nonetheless. Incredible driving for you guys here at Monza. Well done. Let's have a look now at our feature results and see our final finishes for today's race. We have Neki in P1, Pedro and Daniel in P2 and 3, finishing out our podium positions. Incredible job. This is Daniel's first race here in the Spud Cup Season 3, and he came out absolutely guns blazing. Monkus and myself now finish out our top 5 with Patrick, Matthew, CJ, Patrice, and Mixter rounding out top 10. Underneath Mixter, we have Sketch, Josh, Jeff, Tim, and Tom, who didn't compete in today's racing. Tim finishes 14 laps behind, so I think he may have had a bit of an issue as well. Jeff a lap down with an earlier incident from him in the second chicane, and that rounds out our round 11. Now, like I said, we only have one round left of Season 3, so points are going to be crucial. Today has definitely made a bit of a shake-up in the standings. If you want to see more of the standings or see how this season is tracking so far, come and join our Discord server. There's a bunch of information there. You can find exactly what's happening throughout the season and keep up to date with all of the points changes. Thank you guys again for joining this race, and thank you for enjoying being part of the Spud Cup community. You guys are absolutely amazing and incredible driving today. I am very impressed. If you guys want to see more of these Spud Cup races, we have a full playlist here on the channel for Season 3. If you want to check them out, I'll leave them all linked in the description. Go and check them out and see how the progression of these drivers through Season 3 has shown. It has been absolutely insane. If you want to join us on any of our social media, I will leave all of the links in the description below. Come and check us out. Let me know you found these videos. I would love to have you as part of the community. If you want to see more of the Spud Cup and see them live, we stream every single race, every single week. I'll leave the stream schedule and all of the information in the description. Come and let me know. I would love to have you watch the races live and see what you guys think of all the action unfolding as it happens. Other than that, guys, I'm going to leave you all to it. I hope you enjoyed this week's race. I will see you next week. Bye!